Is there anyone on the planet who doesn't fantasize about visiting Niagara Falls? Over 14 million tourists visit this natural wonder each year. Everyone imagines visiting this place to snap pictures, cool off in the waterfall's cooling spray, and, of course, drop in a coin for good luck. What mysteries could possibly be concealed in a location with such a high volume of traffic, it would appear? It seems to still hold its secrets. Although some of them are quite spooky, I continue to attempt to solve them. I'm going to share with you something today that probably isn't covered in geography lectures. After learning about the brave people who risked their lives to overcome a risky aspect, we'll visit one of the most horrifying locations near the waterfall. We'll next walk down the Niagara River's bed and find out a lot of interesting information. Be sure to follow our channel before we begin the video, and don't forget to click the bell icon. Although there are many waterfalls on the Niagara River, we used to only call them Niagara Falls. Horseshoe Falls, American Falls, and Bridal Veil Falls are waterfalls that can be found in the states of New York and Ontario, respectively, in Canada. A kind of border between the two countries is formed by Niagara Falls. Approximately 16,000 years ago, during the last ice age, its history began. At that period, a glacier that was more than 1.5 kilometers or 1 mile thick blanketed the northern parts of the North American continent. The Great Lakes were created when the ice retreated. Around 12,000 years ago, the lake's water flows carved a way for themselves, eventually forming the Niagara River's course. The water flowed from one lake to the next because the lakes were placed in a cascade. This is how one of the most well-known waterfalls in the world came to be. Its size is admired today. You can compare it to some of the most well-known tourist destinations in the world. For instance, Niagara Falls' height can be likened to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris or the famed Leaning Tower of Pisa, and its astounding flow speed can be compared to a tsunami. The amount of water that falls through Niagara Falls in 1 second might take the typical family nearly 7.5 years to consume. But what lies concealed under this enormous water column? I'll begin by mentioning that Devil's Hole is situated within a national park. This is the name of a cave that should be avoided. Although it may not appear to be very scientific, it is thought that evil spirits reside here, and that anyone who attempts to enter will encounter difficulties. Although it seems unlikely, this location is not recommended for visitors in any guidebooks. Here, tragic incidents frequently occur. The renowned North American explorer La Salle tested the cave's ominous power in the 17th century. According to tradition, he received a message from an evil spirit telling him to stop his excursions and global discovery and immediately return home. Having fled the cave in terror, the traveler decided not to accept the evil spirit's claims. He kept taking over additional territories. Diseases, pirates, and shipwrecks came to him one by one, but La Salle persisted with his mission. Sadly, it all came to an end somewhere off the coast of Texas. Worn-out sailors mutinied and then assassinated their captain. The wicked spirit's prophecies came to pass. We can only speculate as to whether it was merely a lovely legend or indeed the schemes of the same spirit. However, in the 18th century, something much worse occurred here in the year 1763, which resulted in the deaths of 81 British soldiers. The Seneca Indian tribe attacked them. The locals had at least 3.5 times as many opponents as their rivals. The battle's conclusion was foreseen. Some were murdered, some were cast into the bottomless pit. The horses and wagons were then added. After this horrible incident, the location was thought to be cursed. The waterfall has another feature. The water flow is less in the summer than in other seasons, and it typically drops by half at night. Who or what is robbing the waterfall of its water supply? Apparently, these are power plants. In the middle of the 20th century, a rigid schedule for water intake from the waterfall was developed. This was accomplished in light of tourism. The same water pressure had to be kept in place for the waterfall to continue drawing thousands of visitors each day. So it was agreed to carry out a main water intake at night and during a time when there are less tourists. However, there have been instances in the waterfall's history when it may have completely lost its visitors if it hadn't stopped in the middle of the 19th century. This halt lasted for 30 hours. Strong winds caused Lake Erie's ice to break, and one of the ice flows obstructed the Niagara River's path. Only when the wind shifted did this natural dam move. The waterfall dried up once more 121 years later, but this time it was intentional. Unprecedented steps were made to halt the waterfall in order to protect it and stop rock erosion, and a temporary stone earth dam was constructed. The top experts were dispatched to inspect the riverbed and fix any damage. Bolts held the corroding components together. They committed all of their resources to the battle against erosion. After the work was completed, the man-made dam was demolished and the waterfall's torrents resumed. When the waterfall was stopped, a shocking number of coins and piles of stones were also discovered, along with 2 bodies. There ought to have been a large cemetery there. Approximately 40 individuals every year perished here, although it appears that other bodies are just removed from the falls by the rapid river. Generally speaking, diving into waterfalls was historically seen as almost a folk sport. It has drawn daredevils from all over the world since the 19th century. First, somebody attempted to send a boat down the waterfall with animals on board. There were 2 geese, 2 foxes, a bear, and a bison among these pioneers, but only 1 goose lived. Such a disappointing outcome didn't dissuade anyone. It's said that a specific Sam Patch started the custom of jumping off the waterfall. He survived after plunging from a high tower into the gorge below the waterfall. And the insane race against the stormy elements started. People have attempted to swim beneath the waterfall and cross it in barrels and even enormous rubber balls. As you could expect, only a few people survived. Some other daredevils decided to ascend the waterfall by air. They traversed the gorge by walking on a narrow wire or rope. Only in 2012 did a daring guy attempt to cross the waterfall from one nation to another. It is currently acknowledged as his longest tightrope walk. Secrets also exist on the Niagara River's coastlines. More than 20,000 artifacts have been discovered just 12 kilometers, roughly 7.5 miles upstream from Niagara Falls. At least 4,000 years have passed since the earliest ones. These discoveries provide a glimpse into a bygone era when people led nomadic lifestyles and hunted, fished, and collected plants. The resources available here make this clear. Stones were utilized to manufacture drills, spears, and arrowheads. Near Niagara Falls, subsequent items were also discovered. They contain bullets that appear to have been fired in the 1930s or 1940s. In the future, additional Niagara Falls mysteries will be disclosed. Since progress will have advanced in 50 years, you will undoubtedly be able to find and study more items at the waterfall, where centuries-old rocks contain many more fossils, and possibly even at the bottom of the lake. The waterfall will be stopped once more so that new pedestrian bridges can replace the 100-year-old ones. Due to funding issues, this procedure was originally scheduled to start in 2019, but it has been delayed indefinitely. When will the waterfall be stopped? If you know of anything else that may be lurking in the waters of Niagara, please leave a date in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video.